All right, folks, we are at 90 attendees and counting. So thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Again, my name is Brandon Doyle. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at Blue Corona. And today we are here to talk to you about a project that we have been working on for a couple of years now. And we are super excited to share with you what is going to serve as the foundation of our marketing strategy moving forward. So before we dive in, I just want to introduce, as I mentioned, we do have a special guest on today's call. You've probably seen him in the little thumbnail on your screen, but we have Dinesh Damija, Chief Technology Officer at Blue Corona, joining us. Dinesh is a very busy guy, but Polaris is his brainchild. So Dinesh, we're super excited to have you on and have you walk us through a demo of Polaris today. And welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brandon. Super excited to show everybody what we've been up to.
Awesome. Well, before I actually kick it over to Dinesh, a couple of administrative pieces to get out of the way. First and foremost, we want to make sure you can hear us. We've got a lot of folks on. So at any point you think your audio drops out, go ahead and click your audio settings button in the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom webinar panel, and you'll be able to select the right audio source or troubleshoot as needed. Throughout today's webinar, I'm sure a lot of you will have questions. And if you do, we don't want you to forget them. So go ahead and send them over to us as you think of them. So you can do that by clicking the Q&A button in your Zoom webinar panel. Again, type in your question, send it to us. Depending on the question, I may answer you and respond back live within the webinar, or we might address it in our live Q&A that Dinesh and I will both host at the end. So again, send over those questions as you think of them. We certainly don't want you to forget about them. Now, looking at who's joining us today, I see a lot of familiar faces, some clients of ours. Thank you for joining us, but a lot of unfamiliar names too, who don't currently work with Blue Corona. So a little bit about our company for those of you who aren't a client of ours today. We were founded in 2008 as a tracking and analytics company. And what you're going to see today and what Dinesh is going to walk you through today is a visual representation of truly how data-driven we are at our core. So that was in 2008. We morphed into a full-service digital marketing agency, and we are strictly focused on needs-based home service contractors. If I like to say, if something breaks inside or outside the home, front yard to backyard, roof to basement, and it's impacting your comfort levels, we're the digital marketing for you if you're going to go out and solve that problem for these homeowners. We have a specific focus in helping HVAC, plumbing, and electrical contractors measurably grow their marketing performance and grow their businesses. And we're able to do that through a ton of partnerships, both in digital marketing and throughout the trades that we're proud of. And you can see some of those on your screen. We're a Google Premier Partner, distinction awarded to the top 3% of marketing agencies in North America, Microsoft Advertising Select Partner, and a ServiceTitan Gold Partner as well. But at the end of the day, again, we're a full service digital marketing agency that was born in data. And what we help you do is increase your leads and sales, optimize your marketing costs, and help differentiate your brand in the marketplace. So some of the common challenges that our clients come to us with is flat or declining leads. Maybe lead volume isn't where it needs to be. The phones are a little silent, or maybe they're getting the wrong types of leads. We help fix those problems. We all know that pay-per-click marketing, Google Ads, and just the cost of advertising is getting more and more expensive. High cost per lead is not uncommon in the home services industry, and that's not unique just to your business. And we help our customers solve for high cost per leads and bring down their overall cost per marketing. And again, help them stand out from the competition. Now, we do that with a full suite of digital marketing services, some of which you see on your screen here. The reason I want to call these out is because successful contractors, the biggest and best run home service companies, the companies that are growing year after year, they successfully engage and connect with their target audience, homeowners within their service areas, throughout those consumers' entire buyer's journey. So everywhere, online, offline, and we here at Blue Corona want to help you do the same and position your company in front of those. So everything starts with a conversion-friendly, SEO-friendly website. but we offer the full gamut of digital marketing services, everything from paid media and Google ads, Microsoft ads, local services ads, YouTube, you name it, to SEO and brand differentiation strategies like social media, OTT advertising, and sales support, because we know that marketing can only be as successful as your operations are. So we help you, support you with things like overflow call support, and appointment booking as well. But all of that is centered around our tracking and analytics. And if you're a client of ours today, you've lived and breathed that for quite some time now. But I want to call attention to, before I kick it over to Dinesh here shortly, the words at the top of the screen. Successful contractors engage homeowners throughout the entire buyer's journey, right? And that's because studies showed that 87% of homeowners don't have a contractor in mind when they need to have someone out to their house, when the air conditioner breaks, when their water heater breaks, when they're looking to put on a new addition, right? They don't know who to call because they're not doing these things every year. They don't need their air conditioner repaired or replaced every single year. So they have no idea who to call. So again, throughout the entire buyer's journey. And this visual that you see on the screen here is a representation of how we like to think of that modern buyer's journey here at Blue Corona. So again, I want you to let's go through an exercise here. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of a homeowner. And this story actually happened to me last summer, right? I woke up and it was about 85, 86 degrees upstairs on the second story of our house. Our two daughters didn't sleep very well. My wife was pissed off. So I now knew I had some sort of problem, right? I didn't know if I could fix it myself, if it was just, maybe the power flickered overnight. I don't know. But I just knew it was hot in my house. So what did I do? I went to the thermostat and I turned it up. I turned it down. I turned the system on and off. Nothing happened. And that's about the extent of my HVAC expertise and technical training. So I knew I had a problem and I knew I needed to solve this problem, but I didn't know, again, if I could do it myself or if I needed the help of a professional. So what did I do? I actually called one of our customers, but in a real world scenario, I would have turned to Google, right? And I did turn to Google to find their contact information. And again, 87% of consumers don't have a customer or a contractor in mind when they have the same issue that I had. Right? So they turn to Google or Bing and they start searching the internet for solutions, right? And they're hit with all these sorts of results. Maybe they see local services ads, Yelp is ranking at the top. They're seeing a couple Google business profiles as they start to evaluate different home service companies. They're seeing pay-per-click ads. You get the idea. There's about 20 to 25 different things they see on a Google search page at any given time. And the whole goal as a business owner or someone tasked with growing leads and sales for your company is to be advertising in these channels, some of which you see on your screen, to either generate leads or send that traffic to your website, right? And I, as a consumer, now have visited your website and have moved from the awareness stage into the consideration stage. I am now evaluating various companies. Maybe I get hit with retargeting ads from your company. And ultimately, I'm going to select one company to call, right? Or hopefully one company to call. And that is the point of purchase, right? My lead information is now in your CRM. I talked to a customer service rep. They've got Brandon Doyle at 11209 Irwin Oak Place. They've got me in. They know what job type I need. They're going to send a technician out to my home in 24, 48 hours, the soonest availability, right? So my information is now captured. But so much happens along the entire buyer's journey before that point of purchase. So what does that do? That creates a very complex journey where customers interact with you, again, not only across multiple channels, but across hundreds of tools and platforms that are supporting these advertising channels in order for you to successfully measure and manage your campaigns for better performance and results. We have a saying here at Blue Corona, better data equals better results. And that is the entire goal of Polaris, to connect the dots and attribute marketing performance that before was nearly impossible. So before you might see reports from different agencies or providers, right, where it is kind of a collection of segmented reports, maybe some coming from ServiceTitan, some coming from your email marketing provider, some coming from Google Analytics, and so on. And there's no single source of truth. You're comparing your data from your marketing agency to maybe that you see in your CRM. And with Polaris, we have solved for that. Polaris, and what we are excited to unveil to you today, is a single platform to help you drive your business forward and to generate better marketing and sales results. Polaris is a two-pronged approach, both websites and analytics platform. We're here today to talk to you about and show you our analytics platform. And in a future webinar, we're going to be bringing everyone up to speed on all the hard work we've been doing on the website side of things. But today, we're really here to focus on and excited about the Polaris analytics platform. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Dinesh Damija, CTO of Blue Corona.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm super excited to share what we've been up to with respect to Polaris, actually show you the product today. So if we move on to the next slide. One of the things I want to say is Brandon said that at the opening that I was kind of the brain behind Polaris, and that's probably not even half true. The brain behind Polaris is really all of our clients and the team members here at Blue Corona that have been doing this with our clients for a long time. So, as we started down this journey a couple of years ago, there were a lot of conversations internally, workshops internally, workshops and conversations with clients. I mean, I remember talking at the time, and I still do talk to at least 4 or 5 clients every month. And we heard a lot of things that blended into what you're going to see as Polaris today. I'm not going to read out every one of those points there, but really, I mean, and the gist of it is, boy, it takes a lot of time to get my data together. So we are looking to see what happened as we report up the chain in our companies, as opposed to what's happening and what can we do about it. I'd love to be able to roll up, for quarterly business reviews, as opposed to working with an analyst on a monthly and a weekly basis. Boy, would be great if I could just click on a button and have those contexts. Looking at prior periods, it'd be great to see how is our performance compared to the last period, whether the period is a month or the period is a week. But equally importantly, what we heard from our clients is, hey, it'd be great to see what the data looks like at the same period last year because of seasonality impact, so we can kind of see a sense of where we are. So some of those things are what we heard. We produced a set of concepts. We did a bunch of demos. We created Polaris. And here we are to go and show you what we're doing. And we continue to have the conversations, by the way. This is not the end. This is the beginning of delivering value for our clients. If we move on to the next slide, I think the key thing I'll point out is when Blue Corona was founded, our founder, Ben Landers, was always focused on measurable marketing solutions. You'll see it in our tagline at the bottom. And it's, let's ask questions, let's make data-driven discussions around those questions, etc. So in Polaris, what we've done is we've connected data from a variety of platforms. The centerpiece of Polaris is the data. Better data gives us better results, and better results drive growth for our clients. So that's what Polaris is all about. So on the next slide, I think I've got one more before I actually show you the platform, but this slide will help you visualize what you're seeing as I walk you through the demo. We've built Polaris around the core concept of a metric. A metric represents something meaningful. It's an atomic unit of meaningful information in Polaris. Spend. What was the spend? Aggregate in a given time period. What was the spend on ads over a time period? What was my local services spend on a time period? As an example, what is revenue? What is impression share, etc., etc. So the metric object, we have about 300 of them in Polaris, has a common representation. Now, where does this data come from? As you know, many of you that do marketing or look at data within the various platforms, whether it is Facebook's Business Manager or Google Ads or Search Console or whatever the tools are, each of those platforms provides a meaningful view of data in a given silo. There's about 30 or so of those platforms that are used, as I've seen when we kind of came up with the idea of Polaris. What we've done in Polaris is we've come up with a standard way to ingest that data, convert it into these metric objects that we've put into a library. We've categorized them as marketing metrics, all of the digital marketing platforms, engagements, call, forms, chat, scheduler metrics, business metrics with integrations to platforms like ServiceTitan, and calculated metrics that are computed across these elements. We put them in a library, and then we make those available using configurable dashboards. So with that, I'm going to switch over, and Brandon if you can move on to the next slide, what I'm going to do here is actually show you the product. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's just go ahead and confirm that you can see a login screen for Polaris.
Yep, we can see it, Dinesh.
Perfect. Now, to give you the demonstration, I'm going to play 3 roles very quickly, just to kind of give you the illustration of what the system does. First, I'm going to log in as a user of a company called Smith's Home Services, a demo client, a hypothetical client of ours that does business in multiple locations, providing, plumbing, heating, cooling kind of services. So I'm going to show you the majority of the platform from the view of our client. Then I will log in as a company that actually owns Smith Home Services and a couple of other brands, and show you how easy we've made it for you to see similar information across your portfolio. And then also to be able to dive down into the details at the brand level. And then the third one is I log in as a Blue Corona user to show you what our people have access to deliver meaningful conversations and interactions with you. So first, as a client, Smith's Home Services. Second, as Level 9 Holdings, a holding company that owns 3 brands. And third, as a Blue Corona user that's servicing not just Smith's and Level 9, but maybe a few other accounts as well. So what you're seeing here is the login to Polaris, and I'm going to go ahead and first log in as Gus Fring, who's a client, a demo client, hypothetical client that we do business with. So as soon as I log in, the first thing you'll notice is I get a screen of information. I'm going to walk you through a few basic concepts, and then I'm going to show you what the data is. I'll come back on my third user, Blue Corona, and show you none of this is hard-coded. It's really organized to have meaningful conversations over certain topics. So first of all, you'll notice here we've got dashboards. I happen to have one called Marketing and Engagement Performance Overview. By the way, in our world, and I learned this from Ben, when we have these dashboards is a technical term. We use it because everybody knows what a dashboard is. But really, this is an agenda for a conversation, a set of research objectives to answer some questions. So in this case, my agenda is to talk about or look at, as Gus Fring on Smith's, what is my overall marketing and engagement performance for a certain time period. If you look on the right top here, we have what we call global filters. So what it's saying is everything that you see in this space is for the month of February for Smith's Home Services across all their locations located in the NOAA region of the Southeast. So in a little bit, I'm going to show you, once I navigate through this, I can change any of these with the exception of Smith's, because I am logged in as a person who works for Smith. But I can change some of these filters to look at different time periods and different contexts here. So with this, you'll see a summary, which I'll come back to. Typically, our Blue Corona team will be doing this for our clients on a periodic basis, making keynotes to have meaningful conversations that are data-driven based on our measurable marketing solutions. So some of the panels you'll see, first of all, if the meeting agenda for Gus was to take a quick look at marketing and engagement, the questions Gus might have is, how's my overall marketing performance? How are my engagements doing? How is my performance by channel? How is my paid search performance? How's my GLSA spend doing? How is my organic doing? And how's my business profile doing? Now, these are the ones I've put here in terms, when I say our team has put here to have the conversation, these can all be personalized. So if you dive in a little bit on marketing performance, the metric objects that I talked about, this is a metric object. There's 6 objects of metrics relating to marketing performance. So if you want to talk about marketing performance, these might be relevant metrics, which is What were the number of tracked impressions across all platforms that we are using in your marketing strategy? So this could be paid, it could be organic, it could be social. How many impressions were created? How many sessions resulted from those? How many of those resulted in leads? How many of those generated qualified leads? How many jobs came out of those qualified leads? And what's the attributed revenue? So it's the end-to-end marketing funnel for Smiths. And let me tell you a little bit about some of these metrics. The way I like to, in simple terms, I like to think about this is impressions is how many times were people presented with your stuff? How many of them chose to interact with your stuff? Of that, how many contacted you? Of the people that contacted you, how many of them really need your service? This is something that we differentiate in the marketplace because we listen to every call, we look at every form submission and every chat submission. We call it our tagging service. And that allows us to say, of the 3,000 people in the month of February for Smith, 1,623 of them really needed your service, were in your service area, and were qualified, somebody that you can close. And then you'll notice, where do we get jobs completed and attributed revenue? You'll see in the fine print that for this demo client, it really comes from ServiceTitan. So we do all of the matching between the leads and qualified leads to jobs in ServiceTitan and revenue, and we can then attribute it so you can see your full funnel, right? So 6 metrics put together to say, how is my conversion going? And you'll see these little bar charts here. They give you historic performance. That's what our customers wanted to see. What's the trend looking like in that period? So, I mean, here, we've put some demo notes. If you look at the trends, it says tracked impressions saw a dip over the last 2 months. However, sessions have increased. Why? This shows we made some content changes that are causing people to engage a little bit more. We do need to, however, keep track of these impressions dropping so we can extend our reach over the upcoming period. So that's what we're going to be doing about it. Leads and qualified leads, if you look at the data, it shows a little bit of a dip. And basically it says, about an 18% dip and a 53% dip 18% dip since last month, but it's up over last year. Now, how did our people get this data? When I log in as the third user, I'm going to show you that our people have access to this in just a click. And then, some aspects of what are we, it was unseasonably warm. It so happened to be, even in the context of the demo account and in reality. So that's what potentially caused it. And the increased in our marketing efforts is showing a healthy gain in performance over the same period last year. That's why it's important to know the last year period as well. And then it talks about calls and qualified lead rates are showing a decline. And if you just look at this data, we really are looking at the analyzing. We took a look at the calls in this particular case. Seems like there's a larger disposition of price shoppers. Given that we've got reduced demand primarily because of unseasonable weather, maybe we should run a promotion to capture more of that demand and keep this part of it trending at least flat, if not up. Those would be the types of conversations our teams will be having with our clients. We don't want to be data gatherers using Polaris. We want to be data interpreters and recommenders. That's our mission. So that gives you kind of an idea of how we can have a data-driven conversation. I'm not going to go through every element, but many of our customers want to know, great, how many of my calls, how many of my leads came in from calls? How many came in from forms? Of the calls, how many of them were qualified? And what are some of these conversion ratios? And how do these conversions look over time? So you can see the data right here. Going down further, now that we've got a broader understanding of here's how the overall performance is, here's what my engagement counts look like. How am I doing per channel in terms of Google local services or paid? You'll notice we support the ability to organize tables that allow us to organize any set of metrics. So you'll see here, I still have impressions, I've got sessions, I've got lead, which is from all of the engagement platforms, some of calls, forms, chats, qualified leads, used by our tagging service across those platforms, what the cost per qualified lead is. But then we also use the ServiceTitan metrics, and now they are mapped to the relevant channels. So of the 131,517, you can see that Google Biz Local Services gave me 40,000, paid search generated a certain amount, and organic generated a certain amount for this particular period. Well, if I expand this out, we can now look at Google versus Microsoft at that level of detail. And you'll notice it doesn't just stop at what we do. We found a way to attribute jobs completed and revenue as part of the integrations to the particular platform. And if I expand it out, I can even get down to the campaign type. And I can go down to the campaign group, and our people also have access to the campaign level. So this allows for a nice, meaningful conversation on how are we doing in a particular channel and what strategies should we adjust in that context. You can have a similar conversation about paid search, about GLSA, about organic. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but you get the gist of how we've organized Polaris. This is at a monthly level. To a certain extent, we have monthly conversations today. It's just that the data is assembled. The nice part about this is I can switch by one click to week, and I can look at the same trends on a weekly level. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a week, let's say the week of February 18th to the 24th, put some comments on there. Now all of the cards look the same. The metrics you've just zoomed in. So instead of saying month, these ones are talking about week 7, week 6, week 5. And our people, our team members can look at the trends here at a finer level of granularity and make certain call outs much faster. So the data right down to the mapping by channels and everything that I've shown you is applicable at a weekly level for that particular location. Now, we do collect data in Polaris on a daily basis. Usually, depending on the APIs, like Google Analytics has a SLA of 72 hours for commit. So we account for those as well. But if I go back and look at a certain period of time, you'll notice that when I look at the same things, these are by date. So we can look at what the trends are on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, or if you're doing a quarterly plan or an annual plan, we can look at this data aggregated by quarters as well. So you can look at quarter to quarter comparisons very quickly. So this gives you a very high level view of a dashboard that is from the point of view of Gus Fring, a customer that has access. Now, our teams have created other ones. So when I get into paid media, when you saw paid in my summary, you might say, yeah, but give me some details on Microsoft ads versus Google ads and what's going on there. Our teams thought it through, and they've got, here's what Google ad search performance is. Here's what Microsoft ad performance is over whatever period we want to use. So if I switch to week, or if I go back to my February week, which I was just looking at just for purposes of show and tell, we can get all the same details available to us in real time. And these ones have been set up with trends versus last period versus last year. So those are all just selections that we can have. All right. So I'm going to now quickly log out of this. Remember, I said Smith's Home Services. If I click here, it says Smith's is the only customer. That's what you have access to. If I log out of the system, and now I'm going to log in as Homer Simpson at level9services.com. Our team had fun naming our demo accounts, as you can see. So when I log in as Homer Simpson, you're going to start noticing what you're seeing on the screen. You might just look at it and say, so what's different? It's exactly what Dinesh just showed me that Gus was able to see as part of Smith's Home Services. There is one difference. And the difference is these metric objects are now consolidating data for the month of February across all organizations or brands held by Level 9 Holdings. Who are those brands? If I click on it, Lions Comfort, Luxury, and Smiths. So if I click on Smiths, I did log in as Gus, I hit apply. Now as a Level 9 Holdings team member, I can actually dive in and see exactly what Gus is saying. So that allows us to consolidate information. Everything else that I've shown you, getting into the weekly and daily, etc., can be done as well. There's no loss of functionality. I'm going to choose all my clients because as Level 9 Holdings, you could also go to company location performance for whatever metrics that are set up. You could expand it out and see those metrics by brand. as well. Smiths happens to be a multi-location client, and I could have done this as Gus Fring, but I just kept location in purposes of this demo. If I open it up, I can look performance by location as well, right down to revenue attribution. So all of the same functionality, except that you now have the ability to look at brands across the metrics that are available. So I'm going to log out here just a little bit and get back in as the last demo login account, which is the Blue Corona login. Because in terms of the Blue Corona login, first of all, as I go in there, our teams will have a similar dashboards. Excuse me, just stay on the one I was. So I've got the same thing, except all organizations is the accounts managed by that team, all in this case, all demo accounts. But if I pick Smiths, our team member has exactly the same access to what Smith sees, Gus Fring at Smith sees, but we've given our people today a little more power, actually a significantly greater amount of power. They can go in and view this as detailed cards and flip it so they can look at month over month, year over year trends. And again, everything continues to work. I'll go back to my February picture here if I stay there. So, when the notes up there say revenue was up, something was off by 14% or 77%, our people are not pulling data from spreadsheets and platforms. It's all sitting right here. Actually, this particular one reminds me, Google Local Services missed call rate is about 14%. Gus Fring would have seen that too. And the way I know that is I'm here at Local Services, I'm looking at it. I did decide to put missed call rates here for Local Services. Actually, it should have been for paid services. I copied the wrong number. Well, either way, if you look at the missed call rate of 14.2%, that could be an issue because you're paying on a cost per click, whatever that works out. And therefore, and now we have 14% of the calls missed. And in Google, your responsiveness score might be impacted if calls are coming in from your Google leads, but they're not being answered, right? So our people can call those kinds of things out as well. People can also, and then by the way, at some point we'll make this available to clients as well as we evolve the platform. But if I go to detailed table group, I can look at this in a tabular fashion and compare the data week over week because that's what my filter has been set to, and it's easy enough for me to download this file. And if I download it, I can just click on it and have it available to me in Microsoft Excel. That I can do whatever I want to do with it for analysis purposes, right? So we've got all kinds of views. So our people have access to doing this. And certainly, I should have mentioned, our clients can move priorities around too. So if I'm just going to go back, let's just go back to cards. Let's say for whatever purpose, I'm having the conversation next week and the topic of discussion is not so much what my overall performance is. I want to talk about marketing by channel. I can just move it up and that becomes the first agenda item we talk about. No different than if I was sending you an Outlook invite for a conversation and I tell you we'll talk about overview, we'll talk about by channel, and you say, Dinesh, we already done the overview. Can we just talk about channel? We can rearrange the dashboard in that context. And you can always reset it back to default or move things around. Or the other thing I can do in this particular context is say, all right, we're going to talk about marketing performance. But instead of impressions, leads, etc., we really want to talk about leads. So let's go ahead and drag the leads card and make that the first one. We can do all of those kind of things as well. So that's a quick overview of these things. Now, remember I mentioned 300 metrics. You've seen a few here and you're wondering, gee, where are those 300 metrics and how do they get on this dashboard or agenda, as I'd like to call it? If I go into the library, which Gus Fring didn't have access to at this point because of our permissions framework, our people have access to the library, and these are the platforms that are integrated. You'll see the list of metrics that are on here. So if I look at, let's say, Google Ads, clicks or cost per click, every one of these is a live card. So what you saw on the dashboards, every one of these are absolutely live. So if I look at for that week, what was the spend on Microsoft Ads, I can click right here. What was a cost per click on Microsoft? Here's the answer. What was cost per conversion? It's sitting right here. So all of these elements are the ones that are available. So these are the 300 or so metrics that we have. This is marketing. We've got a bunch of these on calls, on forms, on chats. ServiceTitan, What we've integrated, we have an initial set of metrics, and our team is working on adding some more based on some clients we are working with on the rollouts at this point. And then we've built certain metrics that are calculated specifically. So earlier on, when I called out tracked impressions for cross-platform, I think as I click on this, this tells me that this comes from a tracked impression for every one of the data sources. And they've been specified. If I look at leads, for instance, where do the data sources come from? If I click on it, it says this is the sum of all call leads, form leads, chat leads, and untaggable leads. And that's how we've pre-computed some of the metrics that are of interest. Last thing, very quickly, I'm going to show you. So how do our team members assemble the agendas for the conversation? No development needed. It is dashboard, create. There are three simple concepts: metrics, table, multidimensional tables, and notes. So if I drag a metric box in here, it says, what do you want to call this dashboard? So I'll call this Polaris. Sorry, I can't type and speak at the same time. Polaris webinar demo, topic 1, whatever the topic is. And all those metrics that I showed you are available. I can do a Google-like search. So I might say I want to look at impressions. And it says cross-platform, paid, organic. What impressions do you want? And I'm going to say I want to look at impressions. Let's go ahead and do leads and qualified leads. So if I do leads, I think I was looking at engagement leads is the one I wanted, and qualified leads. Just for purposes of discussion, that's how our team members will say, well, I'm looking at this particular client and what I need to do in order to address a particular topic. I would like to get these metrics. I assemble them here. If I hit create, those get assembled in near real time. If I choose as a dashboard creator, a Blue Corona team member, simple cards. If I go to detail cards and say I want to render this thing as a table off the bat, I don't want to see it this way. That's now rendered as a table. It's as easy as that. If I want to put in a multi-dimensional table, which is the channel one, which I'm just going to quickly do here. If I go in here and say, I'm interested in defining a set of metrics, so I'm going to call it topic 2. And for purposes of this discussion, I'm just going to look for the same metrics. So if I say, here's my tracked impressions, here's my leads and qualified leads that I want from the engagement section, let's say. But really, it doesn't have to be. I mean, for this matter, I can go in here. How do I get ServiceTitan data involved in here? I'm just going to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm really interested in the business platform. I'm not interested in leads. I'm interested in jobs completed, which is here. And I'm interested in attributed revenue. So it doesn't matter where the data comes from. That's where when you saw my slide of connected data, that's what we've spent a lot of time standardizing from an integration perspective. Now it tells me, where do you want to start the filter at the channel level? Which channels are you interested in? All of them for these data elements. How deep do you want to go? Up to the platform, the campaign type, campaign group, or campaign? Well, let's just say I want to go up to the campaign type level. And if I do create, that multidimensional table that I've shown you is right here, right now, available and fully operational. I can start to dig into paid and Google paid, etc. So I can choose any combination of metrics and represent these. Even the notes panels, if I want to make some notes and talk about something, I can put it in here and choose the summary to say action items. If that's what I want to call it, I've got a notes panel. I'll create it, share it. So other team members in Blue Corona have access to that dashboard. And at a certain amount of time, if I want to, I can go ahead and publish this dashboard either to everybody or to selected people that can look at that particular data. So if I click on it, this now is a live dashboard. And even though I defaulted this to a table view, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I really would like to see this back as simple cards again. I can. Or how about we just take a look at the cards view, because that makes it a little easier to have a conversation. I can. Oh, but really I created the dashboard, but I want to see the data on a monthly level. Okay, I can see it on a monthly level. So this is the power that we've built. If you really think about the picture that I showed you, everything here is a metric object. That's a metric object. That's a metric object. If I expand, this is a metric object. That's a metric object. We put them together in meaningful groups. and put meaningful groups of conversations or questions onto an agenda, which in this case is Polaris demo. And now we can truly deliver measurable marketing solutions at whatever level of detail you want. So Brandon, I'm going to hand you control so we can switch back to my slides. I'm sure there's a few questions I can anticipate.
Yeah, Dinesh, maybe while we're pulling up the slides again, two really popular questions that popped up as you were walking through the different views of Polaris is, A, are there other CRMs that we can integrate with besides ServiceTitan? No one threw out another specific name. They just asked other than ServiceTitan.
Yep.
And then B, a lot of folks are interested in terms of what sort of functionality they'll have access to in terms of creating their own dashboards, being able to drill down either similarly or the same as Blue Corona. So just before we jump to this next slide, if you could just address those two since they were very common.
Absolutely. So the first one, we have done the ServiceTitan integration today because we have seen a predominance of, large amount of customers are using ServiceTitan, but we were very careful not to build the integrations for ServiceTitan only. So the way in which we've done this, I like to use an analogy of a plug and socket. Polaris is the socket, ServiceTitan is the plug. Now, why do I use a plug and socket analogy? Because if you walk around anywhere in the US and you plug in your outlet for your laptop, you expect it to work because somebody behind the scenes has thought through, it's 120 volts plus or minus 510 volts plus or minus 5%, 60 hertz, et cetera, et cetera. So for integrations, for CRM integration, we've really thought through the issues that need to be resolved. That is, I need calls data. I need certain amount of information to match that to specific jobs in the system. And I need certain levels of connections between attributes. So we've created a playbook for that that allows us to integrate CRMs rather rapidly using a consistent framework of our connected data. Over time, as we see common interest, just like a large number of customers use ServiceTitan, if there are other systems, we absolutely will develop those as what we call integration adapters. But we don't have to wait for that. I mean, if clients are specifically looking for an integration, we can scope it out and build it out with the client using the same playbook that we've built. The second question that you had was, Brandon, can you refresh my...
Flexibility on being able to drill down.
Oh, yeah.
In what they will, everyone on today's call will have access to versus a Blue Corona team member.
Absolutely. So, at this point, we've started out. First of all, I wanted to show you what we built in the platform and what our teams are empowered with today to have conversations with you. As we continue beyond the trials we're doing with clients, and we get people used to the system and provide feedback, we will look at mechanisms to providing the relevant levels of access for our clients. Our goal as Blue Corona, Brandon, as you know, has always been transparency. It's not that we want to control anything. We want to be totally transparent. We want to give you everything so we can make informed collaborative decisions. The reason we've throttled it at this point in time is we want to get our people up to speed, trained. We want to work with our customer trials and see what kind of trial customers and see what kind of questions are coming up. Then as we do the rollouts over phases, if we see a predominance of clients saying, I get it, I just want access to it, we'll look at ways of making that happen.
And Dinesh, you kind of already started going there. Another question that a lot of folks have in the Q&A section is, when is it available? Which obviously is, we could see on our screen, and you just started alluding to it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll dive right to it. So first of all, we did launch Polaris, earlier this year, at the beginning of this year, and we have actively rolled it out to our teams internally and to a few select clients that are helping us with some of the trials. As you can imagine, a platform of this magnitude with data being pulled every day and trends being available, we have to make sure that our people are trained on it. We continue to refine it based on things that our people or clients that are in the select trials are responding to. So all of that is going on. Today, all new clients that Blue Corona is onboarding are immediately provisioned in Polaris. There's no delay. We have taken, for the clients that we're doing select trials with, the Polaris has been enabled, their logins have been enabled. And really, I say Q2 because it's only 2 weeks away, but we have a plan in place to start rolling out in phases to all of our existing clients starting here in Q2. It's going on right now. And the way we're doing this is as our teams are ready and are using the platforms, the first thing you'll see as a client, an existing client, is our team may do a monthly meeting using this particular system directly with you. And then within a matter of a week or so, you'll get access to self-service like Gus Fring does. So in summary, available today, being used by Blue Corona people and select customers in trials. All new customers are being provisioned as soon as they are onboarded at Blue Corona. And for existing clients, we're doing it in a phased rollout manner. So we are able to deliver value without creating a lot of chaos initially. And chaos only because of capacity. It's hard to roll out hundreds of clients in a week.
A lot of data to digest. So
Yep.
Dinesh, that's been wonderful. The multi-view, like across locations. I know a lot of our customers are either owned by private equity, work in private equity, franchise organizations, things like that. So that's amazing that we've built that. So what's next for Polaris? What do we see coming down the roadmap? What's the future state of Polaris going to look like beyond just the analytics portal?
So excellent question. If I would touch on just a couple of nuances, Brandon, our clients and our team has given us feedback on simple things like locations and location groups that are baked into the platform. So as an example, not only do we look at the multi company clients as we address them, but even clients that are growing into start with a location and then may grow a location that's an adjacency to capture a larger set of service areas. We've built in the concept of location groups. Our team has established standards to define marketing at location groups and point the locations in there. So adding locations as our clients grow is just a natural extension of the platform without jeopardizing the marketing activity. So I just wanted to make that point, and all of that happens on a daily basis. Specifically to your question, Brandon, on what's coming, look, what we did in terms of what I demonstrated today is the voice of our clients. Right? We really did have a lot of conversations. So the first and most important thing is, as we do trials, as we provision new customers, as our existing customers come on board, we're going to listen to that feedback and prioritize what makes our clients' life easier. That's the first thing. Second, we are already looking at certain metric enhancements like ServiceTitan. We've pulled a certain set of metrics. I think we are going to, we're in conversations with ServiceTitan. We've looked at the API. We think we can deliver significantly more value there and do it in a way that we could pull it from other CRM systems. At the same time, even across our core services, we are looking at what new metrics are available. As Google continues to move forward and Microsoft continues to move forward, our teams are in constant contact. And so we can maintain a list of metrics that we think will be incredibly useful. We'll start to put those out and keep those in front of clients that we are having these conversations with. Three things that we haven't got to based on feedback we've already received. One is unmanaged data sources. Whenever I did those 4 to 5 conversations a month, and I continue to do it, when clients see this, a common question comes up, hey, but you don't manage service X because I run social in-house, but I'd love to see my social data in here. We've put the plumbing in Polaris to be able to represent unmanaged sources. So you get the same level of clarity, even if we don't manage it for you. So that's something we're looking at. I didn't have it specifically on here, but seasonality. So all of the business and the trades that we service are all seasonal. We have plans to go ahead and add all weather data. When I say weather, it's not just temperature, it's temperature, humidity, moisture, pressure, etc. So depending on the different trades, different of the elements of weather might be important as an overlay. We had that in one of our early concepts that we showed customers. They liked and it resonated with what they were telling us. We'll put that in. Additional integrations. We really want to provide meaningful data. And you might have seen on the menu as I'm touching, we've got some Gen AI insights. We're doing some really interesting experiments to really take advantage of the hard work that's already being done, building connected data and a set of metrics. We now have the ability to grab those data elements across whatever time period and get Gen AI to tell us, what are you seeing? So we're tuning that in experiments. And as we start to do that, there's no reason why we can't automate it. And then the last part, in terms of Polaris, I think you started with this, Brandon. We didn't view Polaris as just the analytics platform. We looked at it as ultimately driving more revenue for our customers through the delivery of more qualified leads, through our marketing activity. So we thought the website being a centerpiece, tracking being really critical to collecting this daily data. Otherwise, having a platform like this, and if you got garbage data in, you heard the garbage in, garbage out analogy, right? So we've really taken the website development framework and we've created what we call the rapid deployment system for websites. We've embedded it in a structure where it's rapidly provisioned the website, all the tracking at the level needed is in place, and Polaris can come alive with all of this data that's in great point. But it's not limited to just the website. How do we get data from Google Business Profile? How do we get data from Yelp and other places that we're working on? And then really looking at conversion rate monitoring and optimization. So those are some things that we're having some early conversations on. There's a lot more, but these are the ones that rise up to the top level.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Dinesh. And is there any sort of timetable on kind of what's on that next column, like when our customers may or may not, be able to expect conversion rate optimization in mass, or what sort of timetable are we looking at there?
No, that's a great question. It's conversion rate optimization is a journey because you really have to define where are you getting the brand exposed. You first have to monitor and measure it. You have to designate an event that has a set of variables. So we are having conversations on there, Brandon. It's hard to predict the exact timing, but do know we will be having conversations with clients here in the next few weeks on the process there. And the way we operate is we enhance and add value every quarter. We operate on a quarter boundary, broken into 12 weeks in a quarter, 6 sprints as we call it. So incrementally, we're going to make progress towards conversion rate optimization. So I'd say by the end of the year, we should start seeing some pretty good ideas coming out.
Awesome. Well, Dinesh, I'm going to quickly jump ahead. We got about 7 minutes left. I know you and I can both talk each other's ear off. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump to the Q&A section, and we've already got some questions coming in. And right before we get to those, folks, I know we have some of you do work with Blue Corona today. Some of you do not, and that's okay. If you do not work with us and you're interested in learning how Polaris or how we might be able to help you grow your company and your online visibility, go ahead and scan that QR code, fill out a form, and one of our marketing consultants will get in touch with you. If you are an existing client and you have questions, or maybe we don't have time to get to your question today, please, I encourage you to reach out to your account manager or your account director. They are well equipped to handle any question that Dinesh and I are as well, or can get you the answers right away. So with that, Dinesh, we have a ton of questions. Some of them are a little more straightforward, yes, no, with a little bit of color. So I'm going to start with some of those first. Is there a multi-location limit to Polaris? How many companies can a holding company have?
There is not. There's no location. There's no limit to the number of brands per holding company, and there's no limit to the number of locations per brand.
And we've got a couple people asking. I know I'm going to use ServiceTitan just because we have been talking about that in today's demo. That a lot of our customers like to look at ServiceTitan or different business units within ServiceTitan or within their CRM to see how plumbing or plumbing install versus plumbing repair is performing. Do we have the capability within Polaris to break out different business units like that as different, I'll put them in air quotes, companies within Polaris? Or what is the solution for that different, looking at the different business units within a single company?
Yeah. So, ServiceTitan gives us some ability to do that. And that is an active, when I talked about enhanced metrics and integrations, that is an area we are closely focusing on. The good news is the ServiceTitan platform, as mature as it is already evolving at a rapid rate. So we have a strategic relationship with them in monthly meetings with their product team, where we actually look at what we want to surface. And they've been kind enough to create APIs for us and our customers. So with some of these, there are elements of data to provided by business unit, by job class, by job type, etc. So we've pulled all the information in Polaris, and a core set of our team is really looking at all that data and saying, how do we surface this? And those will be some of the conversations we will have in the next very few weeks with some of our clients.
Thank you, Dinesh. Of course, with the question of what other CRMs do you integrate with, we know our clients are not only working on ServiceTitan. So do our clients have the ability to either import or upload revenue into Polaris without that integration in place today?
So that is not completed yet, but it is on our roadmap. Part of going ahead and defining the common playbook, we did have what we called a CRM upload adapter that we've defined. We have not implemented it yet because we have to, because Polaris is collecting data on a daily basis, we have to work through a couple of nuances of, okay, if you pull the data up on a monthly basis, will you provide it at the right cadence anywhere during the month? Now, when I pick daily and weekly, how do we smooth the data? So those are the kinds of issues we are working with, but that's certainly a roadmap item for us.
Speaking of roadmap, one of our anonymous attendees is interested to know if reputation management might be a functionality of Polaris in the future. Dinesh?
Yes, that's a great question. When you look at Polaris RDS, Polaris websites, you'll see that reviews and publishing reviews and all of those kinds of things are a critical part. So yes, that is something that we have heard from our customers, and we do plan at some point in our roadmap to accommodate reputation management as well. Love to hear your ideas. What would you like to see? Please do engage with us in conversations, certainly offline as well, so we can get your view of what reputation management is. We have a certain view, and we want to make sure we work with customers on it.
Absolutely. If you have a specific CRM tool platform that you use that maybe we don't manage or monitor today, but you'd like to see that data, as Dinesh said, send it over, get it in front of your account manager, or speak to your account executive that you're working with. We'd be happy to have that conversation with you.
Absolutely. I would love to have that conversation. So reach out to your account manager, and I'll jump on a call with you.
Dinesh, a couple folks want to know in the somewhat of a base package, I guess I'll call it, that our customers are going to get access to here in 2024. Remind us again, are they going to be able to create their own dashboard and their own reports when they first get access, or is that's a future functionality, correct?
So I know that's being worked out by our team, Brandon, so I don't want to go out of line. I'd say reach out to our account executives, account manager, and they'll get you the right answer. So all I will say in general is, we're doing the crawl, walk, run. There's a lot of power here. So rather than opening the gates and saying we're all running, we've opened it up a little bit, but nothing in the platform is hard-coded. So I think that answer will better come from the account team as to what the timing of it is. But clearly, in the spirit of transparency, as I intended, we don't intend to hold any of this hostage. It's a matter of rolling it out.
Thank you. We've had Michael ask the question, Dinesh. He said, are you guys only listening to lead capture live phone calls or all phone calls to gather data quality? And he was actually kind of comparing it to some of the lead quality metrics within ServiceTitan. So absolutely, Dinesh, I can answer that one. We listen to, track, record, tag, and listen to every single phone call on behalf of our customers as well. How that differs, personally, I don't know from ServiceTitan's lead quality. Dinesh, maybe you could speak to that if you know, since we do work very closely with ServiceTitan. But yes, at the highest level, that is a team of Blue Corona taggers, real humans, not AI or anything right now, real humans that are listening to the call, listening for what services a customer, one of your customers, a homeowner, is searching for, air conditioning repair, toilet installation, whatever it may be. They're listening for service areas, was an appointment booked, all of those things in order to say, yes, this is a verified lead or not. Dinesh, any context you want to add to that?
Yeah, with respect to ServiceTitan, one of the things with ServiceTitan and their DNI solution, as we looked at it and working with them, They cover a certain set of channels, but in some of the ones that we do, and we do session-based tracking, not just static lines. So we have a powerful DNI system that allows us session-based tracking. So we have more data than ServiceTitan does, and that's why we capture all the calls, and we have our definition of lead quality in terms of how people are scoring these calls. However, ServiceTitan is also very interested in providing the data within ServiceTitan to the clients that actually use it. So we are in talks with them on certain APIs to be able to do this level of sharing, if you may. But
Dinesh,
at this
last
point, we have a broader set of data sets.
Dinesh, last question. It's 3:01 right now. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We had a couple folks reach out and ask, they like being able to listen to their recorded phone calls in our current reporting system to coach their CSRs. Will they still be able to log in and listen to those calls or review those forms like they can today?
Yeah, so that is a set of functionality that we will bring over to Polaris. At this point, it is in our current gen platform and it'll stay there, but we are in the process of moving that over to the Polaris platform. So you've got just one place to do it. And I'm not going to speak out of turn. I'll just say we're doing a little bit of early experiments of listening to calls is great, but wouldn't it be great to have the calls transcribed and summarized by AI? And then have the calls rated by AI, so you at least are looking in the call. So those are some experiments we are running right now.
It's exciting. AI is going to be changing everything we do. That's probably its own webinar series as well, Dinesh. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone on today's webinar. I see a lot of you are still sticking around with us, even though we're a couple minutes over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, if you're an existing client of ours, you currently partner with Blue Corona, and you have questions about Polaris, are interested in getting early access, or maybe want to set up your CRM within an integration, please reach out to your account manager or account director. And again, if you don't partner with Blue Corona, we really hope you learned something. And if you're interested in seeing what maybe we could do for you, go ahead and scan that QR code, fill out the form, and we'll be in touch. Dinesh, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.